And tonight on the Daily Wrap, 4 Marines dead after Kuwaiti-born man thought to be living in Arizona opens fire on 2 military facilities in Chattanooga, Tennessee this morning. Congressman Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee will be in studio to respond. Donald Trump causing trouble for his fellow GOP candidates trying to make it to the debates. And President Obama setting a record as he visits a prison. This is a Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host Rick Unger. Sad day, Rick. And
you know, we always begin this by kidding around. Yeah. Who feels like kidding on a terrible day like this?
Absolutely.
You know?
And as we talked about before, perhaps, unfortunately, I hate to say it, the new normal.
Well, I hope not.
I hope not, too.
It sure seems to be happening a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And joining us also, Congressman Marsha Blackburn, here in studio. Thanks for joining us, particularly today. We appreciate you sharing your sentiment and your thoughts on what happened in your home state of Tennessee today. And finally, to Ms. Blackburn's right is Blaze TV news anchor and former speechwriter for the Senate Majority Leader, Bill Frist. It's Amy Holmes. Okay, everybody, let's get right to the Daily Download. And of course, we're talking Chattanooga, Tennessee today. 4 Marines dead, 1 wounded. He's expected to be okay, shot in the leg, but he's already been released from the hospital. The shooter also dead as well. We're learning facts as they come in, which are coming in by the minute. Basically, there was gunfire today in Tennessee this morning in 2 separate shootings at the U.S. Reserve Center and the Armed Forces Career Center located in a strip mall in Chattanooga. 3 people were injured, including 1 police officer, as we said, will make a full recovery. 5 people, however, as we said, are dead, including 4 Marines and the shooter. The situation is currently being treated as an act of domestic terrorism until officials gather more information. We now know the shooter was 41-year-old Mohammed Youssef Abdulaziz, a naturalized citizen living in Arizona, but originally from Kuwait. Early reports said he was 24. Now apparently reports are saying he's 41. Jihad Watch reports that there was an ISIS-related tweet sent out at 10:34 this morning around the time the shootings began. The tweet read, "Oh, American dogs, soon you will see the wonders. Hashtag Chattanooga, hashtag USA, hashtag ISIS." Congressman, I want to get your thoughts on these shootings. It appears to be, and we hate to speculate, but it seems to be a pattern. Lone wolf, perhaps activated by social media to act on his own without any formal training overseas.
Right, and this is one of the things that is causing so much concern across communities all across the country. And now it is showing up. You take somewhere like Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the heartland of the country, and people are having a normal summer day, and then all of a sudden they find themselves in the middle of a domestic terrorist attack. An attack on U.S. soil. And I think it is incredibly troublesome. People in Tennessee are quite disturbed by this, as you can imagine, and of course our hearts go out to the families, and we are very concerned about this. I think it's interesting that he stayed outside the center and shot in, never stepped foot, so he never stepped foot on federal soil. So, you know, it's going to be interesting where, you know, as you were saying, Joe, the information is coming in by the minute, things that we are hearing from Chattanooga and hearing from individuals, and just quite a bit of concern around the entire issue.
Congressman, I'm curious, you obviously have probably pretty much the best sources for information. I'm very curious about this tweet. I've been trying to run it down. It does appear to be legit, that it did happen, and it's, you know, nobody tries harder than I do to be objective until we know, but you know what, when you see at Chattanooga, this can't be a coincidence.
That's right, and that it is an ISIS-related site or connected site, and just the element of uncertainty and the unsettling nature of this. I really think this is why when we look at polling and when we talk to constituents and talk to women, the number one thing that comes up is concern for national security. What is happening with ISIS? What is happening in the illegal alien front? What is happening to our men and women in uniform on our military bases and across the world? I've got Fort Campbell in my district.
Right.
That is primarily in Tennessee, and that's the 101st has been the most deployed unit in the U.S. military system. So the concerns continue to grow that surround this, and it is more unsettling. The more we know, the more unsettling it becomes.
Congresswoman, you know, it's being investigated.
Right.
If it has a connection to ISIS, that this person, potential terrorist, has been communicating in a substantive way with ISIS representatives, are you satisfied that President Obama has been strategic and aggressive enough in going after ISIS? Because this would mean now that ISIS has brought the terror home to the homeland.
Right, and of course, I am one of those that think we should have been more aggressive. I didn't like the way we came out of Iraq. I don't like the way we are approaching the drawdown in Afghanistan. I don't like the situation with Iran and the nuclear deal that is there. I think that's a bad deal for us. I'm concerned about what it's going to do in the Middle East writ large, if you will. And when our allies look at us and say, what are you doing? Where have you been? And our enemies are looking at this as an opportunity.
Right.
And feeling as if we're not going to be steadfast. That should cause concern for every single one of us.
Well, there are a couple of elements to this attack that Al-Qaeda, 9/11, they went in for huge, spectacular types of events. This is now shifting it to smaller, in your community, what we're so scared of being at a strip mall, being at a school. This is a different tactic. And secondly, that it may not necessarily be lone wolf if he's in contact with recruiters from ISIS.
Yeah, but I just want to throw this in because it troubles me a little bit when on a day like this, when we can all disagree a lot, but today we're all Americans. I mean, there were American Marines who were gunned down today. You know what? I'm not President Obama's biggest fan on foreign policy, although people know that I do support the president in most things. But you know what? No matter what he's done over there, it's not going to stop a terrorist in this country who's in touch with ISIL, because ISIL's not going to be gone even if he does a better job of trying to get rid of them, and I think he should. I haven't been happy with it either.
But this would make a direct connection between ISIS and terrorist attacks on American soil.
But it wouldn't be the first time. And you know what? No matter what President Obama did, or a Republican president, or any president, ISIL's going to be there until hopefully we succeed at getting rid of them. Sooner the better, of course. But we have, yes, we do, but we don't want to use these horrible events to say, see, this is your fault, President Obama.
I'm not blaming President Obama, but I am pointing out this would be an attack if he was connected to ISIS. Right. It would be an attack by ISIS, activated by ISIS, on American soil.
Congressman, I want to get you back in as far as this suspect was not on any FBI terror list, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And in France, it was the same type of situation where, in other words, these aren't people that the FBI is watching necessarily. They're just among the shadows, and then they're being activated. I just wonder if we're making enough strides on social media in terms of combating this sort of propaganda.
And I think that is something that adds to the unsettled nature of this. And it also shows why we need to be diligent in giving our intel community what they need, and allow our military intel and our intelligence community to share that information and work with our allies in sharing this information. And of course, we've got lots of debates about the NSA and the gathering of information, but beefing up our intelligence so that they have the resources they need and are able to work in the virtual space to gather the information and follow some of these individuals that come onto their radar, if you will, that are participating with some of the mosque or some of the activation or going into these sites. And it is also one of the reasons why we want to make certain that the ISPs, the internet service providers, are doing their due diligence and watching out for some of these rogue sites and shadow sites. And you've got just
we'll
a
have to
plethora.
leave it there, unfortunately. But going to commercial, we'll talk about more of this in a moment. Back with more Daily Wrap. Don't go anywhere.